So this is my go-to backcountry fly. I throw this for tarpon, snook, redfish, anything in the backcountry. The water is typically a little darker bottom, so I like to go with this black and purple. It works really well. So the tail is fin raccoon. Got some silly legs, some tarantula from EP, and bead chains. You gotta make sure you always have a weed guard on there. We're gonna start off with a size 2 B10 Stinger from Gamakatsu. Again, it's my favorite hook. It works really well for juvenile tarpon because it's very thin wire and sharp. It will stick them just about every time. It'll pierce right through their hard mouths and won't let go. All right, so you got your base wrap going to hold everything down, and using black fin raccoon. Again, it's kind of hard to find this stuff, but you find someone that's got it, buy as much of it as you can because it's usually really difficult to find it, at least here in Florida. Cut some off. I don't like putting too much because I want the fly to move good in the water, dart pretty good. Put too much material, it's just gonna kind of float and fluff on the surface, and you're gonna have to wait a little countdown before it gets down into the water every cast. So get a little bit on there. You don't have to worry about being incredibly neat with it. I kind of like it to be a little sparse. It will just push a little bit more water. Get some the black and purple silly legs. Get this at any fly shop pretty much. I use these a lot because it adds a lot of movement. So I'll go ahead and I'll put 2 silly legs. I keep them still attached. Put them on the top of the fly. The fly will ride hook shank up in the water, so this essentially will become the bottom of the fly. Bring the wraps back. So you want to tie them at what is now the top of the fly. Got a couple wraps on there. Fold it back. Cinch it nice and tight. And then roll the fly upside down, which was now actually right side up. So I go with 1 strand of flash. I don't like too much flash in the backcountry. It adds a little bit of depth to it. If it does anything, it adds a little bit of depth to it. Put 1 strand on top, same thing. Line it up with the shank of the hook. Give it a couple wraps. Fold it over to the other side of the hook shank now. And cinch it down. Once I'm done with that, flip the hook back where it's now right side up or upside down, however you want to call it. Work the thread back towards the front. These are bead chain. This is a size medium bead chain, I think. I don't know what it is. It's the only one I use. I have like every size in my fly box. I like bead chains over anything else for this particular fly. It draws the fish attention towards the fly because it's got a slight rattle. It's not too loud, but it's low enough that it won't spook them and makes them take a look at it. Just figure 8 it on there. Do about 8 to 10 wraps. Now I've worked the thread behind the eyes again. Grab some tarantula. I either go with black tarantula with the little purple silly legs in it, or just all purple tarantula. You want to get the tarantula on there. Build it up till it comes right back to the tail, right where the joint of the tail to the whatever you want to call it. I don't know. So you're going to use this to build the body on the fly. It'll push a lot of water, get a lot of movement. Make sure you work the fibers back on every turn. It really helps form a nice shape. I like to do anywhere from 3 to 6 turns. You don't want to do too much. You do too much, again, the fly's going to float more. It's not going to really get down where you need it. That's about right there. Cinch that down, Give it a couple wraps. Cut off the excess. Again, you don't want to use scissors. That's metal wire I just got with my scissors. Give it a couple more wraps. You're gonna pull this back a little bit. Get your thread in front of the eyes again. And get ready for your weed guard. I got size 2 hooks, a little bit bigger for tarpon, snook, redfish. They got bigger mouths. It'll help make sure you get a good hook in it. If I was tying a fly for a bonefish, I use the same hook but in a size 4. Hard mason, 16-pound monofilament line for your weed guard. So you're going to bend this over, create a little U or horseshoe. Grab it down so you have a little loop. And give it a little pinch. Would you look at that? Give a little pinch. Now you got this little loop, if you will. When it comes over the hook shank, I give it 4 loose wraps. Set up. 1, 2, 3. Give it 4 loose wraps, then pull this down. Once I have that pulled down, now I come back and I'll get that down with some nice tight wraps on it. Really hold it in place. Finish it up with a whip finish. You need this tool. You don't need a whip finisher, but it makes it much quicker. Call me New School, whatever you want. But I'll get ridiculed for using this tool. Hey, if tools exist to make the job easier, I'm gonna buy them. So I'll come back now and I'll trim off a little bit off the top, just to make sure I have more material on the hook shank side because it will help it float hook side up. So I'll come in and just trim a little bit off of the top. That's why you don't use your scissors to cut metal, because it's not cutting the fibers. There you go. Helps create a flat surface that's going to ride hook shank up. Take off the little stragglers. That'll drive me crazy. Get that off the vise. You want to trim down your weed guard so it's just about at the point of the hook, maybe a little bit longer, not too long. Trim that down where it's right at the hook point. Then you're going to trim down the silly legs just a bit to make sure they're about the same length and individualized so they're no longer bridged together. You see the silly legs are nice and free now. And the flash is just about right. I kind of somehow got it perfect. And there's my go-to snook, tarpon, backcountry fly works great, redfish, black drum even, anything in dark water, darker bottom, it's gonna work really well. And it rattles ever so slightly. Check this out. Seriously, that's why they eat it. Alright, so I pretty much use the same pattern for just about everything I fish for. I just changed the color combination. There's slight variations in it to make it different. Whether I'm throwing at snook or tarpon in the backcountry, if I'm fishing the flats for bonefish, redfish, tailing fish, shallow water tailers, clean water, I'll throw it in tan with a little bit of chartreuse and a hint of orange. Just mimics a shrimp or a crab really well. I do it with fin raccoon in the tail, as shown here. I also like to do it with just two pieces of hackle at the back as well. It mimics crab claws pretty good. I mean, look at that. You won't eat that? Really good bonefish fly. I catch 90% of my bonefish on this very fly right here. Got an all pink variation. Again, if for whatever reason the backcountry the fish aren't eating the black dark colors, I'll throw a bright pink. And it works really well. Sometimes I use silly legs, sometimes I don't, and most of the time I do. But every now and then I'll tie one without them, and it works the same for the most part. And again, all black. This is just about all black with blue on the silly legs instead of purple, but they'll all get the job done for the most part. I've learned that I could just streamline the same pattern slight variations, and they all get the job done. So this is my go-to fly, my go-to pattern, and it's worked really well for me for the past couple years. I haven't had a need to tie anything else. Even peacock bass, I just changed it slightly. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check that one out too, because it's a slight variation of this that works really well. So look at that.